All right, so let's start our session by reciting prayer to the Lord and prayer to guardian and guiding spirit together. Prayer to the Lord. Our Lord Alcantara, you are the source of all light, all power, all wisdom, and all love. May you give us light, give us power, give us wisdom, and give us love. O Lord, our Father, please protect this planet of love earth. Protect us from all evil and open a future for us. O Lord, thank you for giving us light. We give thanks from the bottom of our hearts. Prayer to guardian and guiding spirits. My guardian and guiding spirits, deep inside of me, you are the fountain of life, the light of hope, the source of wisdom, and the shield of courage. Every day, may you help me develop my soul and refine my mind. Every day, may you give me inspiration and show me the right path to follow. Please protect me from all evil and guide me in living a better life. For this, I give my thanks. All right. So how are you, everyone? I don't know if we have time to do meditation today. We have a lot to cover. All right. So today we're gonna do the based on this chapter 3 of this book, The Laws of Secret, the condition of the real exorcist. That's the title of the chapter 3. So today it's how to protect yourself from negative spiritual influences. But we have learned a lot from other books and his lectures, Master's lectures. But this one is particularly based on this chapter, this book of chapter 3. All right, so I'm going to go over something you already know, but just quickly go over that. The laws of the universe, as you know, and I always start talking about that at the very beginning. The laws and rules are always there, and it's all based, everything is actually based on the laws and rules. And all the teaching of masters, wealth, abundance, miracles, and we learned everything is actually based on the laws and rules. And it's actually quite simple, as you all know. And this is something we've done before. Everything is based on the laws of the truth, which is the laws of the universe. And it's either we abide by the rules or we go against the rules. And that really, that really determines how happy we are, or if positive or negative, or you're wealthy or you're poor. It's like everything is actually depends on whether you abide by the rules or go against the rules, right? So here's my question. For what about exorcism? Which laws do you think are important in exorcism? Anyone? What do you think? Does anyone want to try this?
I don't know, Mimi, if there's such a law, but it feels like faith.
That is very important, isn't it? Yeah. You have to have faith. That's it's really, really important. Thank you. Yeah, you have to have that. It's a must. And Rich just said the laws of cause and effect.
How about laws of same wavelength attraction?
Okay, and Rich also said the laws of same wavelength attraction. All right, anyone? Self-reflection, Jamie said. Thank you, Jamie. Self-reflection is always important. But all right, so we're talking about the laws of the universe. So Barry said it's not the laws, but it's faith. You have to have faith. Yes, that's very important. So Anyone? Not a law of the universe, but keeping unshakable mind is what Jennifer said. Okay, good, good. James said, as above, so below. So everything, right? Yes, thank you. So anyone else? Here is the, anyone wants to try that? For exorcism, what do you think? All right, so this is what it is. Remember the most important laws in everything? Two of them. One is the law of cause and effect, and the other one is the law of same wavelengths attraction. So this is actually really important for everything. Everything is actually based on these. These are the laws of the universe. So good job, you guys. And they're most important laws of all. So even the exorcism, this has a lot to do with it. So the law of cause and effect and law of the same wavelengths attraction. So here's my question, another question. How are they related to exorcism? Why are they important for exorcism? Does anyone want to try that?
Okay, I'm gonna give it a try.
Okay.
Laws of cause and effect,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what do you want, which would be the effect.
Mm-hmm.
And the question would go, what can cause the effect to happen?
Right.
So you need to also be
Mhm.
very, very clear. It would be your mindset, what it is that you want to happen. And that leads to, okay, our minds looking for the wavelength that can manifest what it is that we want, which is the effect.
Okay, that sounds great. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Julie. Yes. Well, you're right though. The wavelengths that manifest, what you want. So thank you very much. And then let's see. James said the Dharma power. It does have Dharma power. It has a lot to do with it. So that is why it's related to those two laws are related to exorcism. So James, thank you. And Jamie said, so you don't connect to lower vibrational spirits. It's right. So that's Jamie, thank you. That's right. So you're all correct. Thank you very much. It has a lot to do with the vibration. So the negative spiritual influence itself is possession, like what are you connected to? So it really depends on, the cause of the possession is because of your vibration. So that's the reason why the same wavelengths attraction applies here. Same thing with the law of cause and effect. Let's see, this is the from page 119. This is what it says. This topic belongs to the world of spiritual training and the realm of experts. So people's abilities and state of mind make a big difference. So the state of mind has a lot to do with it. That's why the laws of same wavelengths attraction and also the law of cause and effect is very important. So your state of mind determines the area of the spirit world you're connected to. How you attune your mind to heaven and repel evil is especially important. So you are all right. So your state of mind has a lot to do with it. And the red part, how you attune your mind to heaven, that can actually repel evil spirit. So that part is very important. We have to keep that in mind. How you attune. So we have to attune our mind to heaven. That is the base or basic of exorcism. How to get rid of the negative spiritual influences, right? So same thing with the when we do the perform exorcism, when you do it at home at Shibu, we don't use our own power, actually. We use the heavenly power. That's the key, you know. So in order to use the heavenly power, what do we have to do? The exorcist has to be able to attune to the heavenly world. That's like a base of it. Without it, it's like you can't even perform it. That means like you're faking it almost. So it has to be connected to the heaven and has to receive the heavenly power. So this is the reason why it is really related to the law of cause and effect and the law of the same wavelengths. Those two are very important in exorcism again. So we need to be very, very, very careful that, because negative spiritual influences occur without even noticing it. I'm sure you all know that. It's actually happening when you don't even think it's happening. You know, you think you are protecting yourself with all the master's teachings because you read his books, you study, you go to Shibu, you have Dharma friends, and you think you're all protected, but without even knowing it, sometimes you have the influence from the other world. And that happens all the time. Let's see, James said, they go to the weak point of our mind and soul tendency. Exactly, James. Thank you. That's a great point. Yes. So everyone has weak points, strong points, but they always come to our weak point, and because of our soul tendencies. So tendency is something it's so easy to see other people's tendencies, but it's so hard to see your own. So you have to, self-reflection helps that. Jamie said, yes, it does. Thank you. So you need to take some time to reflect upon who you are, you know, your thoughts and deeds and everything inside you. That's very important. Thank you, Jamie. So you have to be very, very careful. And especially, you're all happy science leaders and core members, very important people. And especially happy science leaders, Buddha's disciples, we have to be extremely careful. Why? Because they don't want us to do the activities, so they always try to, you know, bother us. You know, they always try to stop our activities and everything. So you need to be very, very careful. You know, I started working on this PowerPoint last night, and then I was up like, let's say around midnight. Then I started having like a heavy, stiff shoulder and neck, and then it wasn't usual kind, and then I knew something was wrong. So I started playing the exorcism music. And so I had it on all night long, and today, all day long next to me. I had to play the music constantly. So we always have to be very, very careful. So what do we need to do? What's important in protecting yourself from negative spiritual influence is? Anyone wants to guess? I mean, it could be anything, but then I'm just going to put up what I picked. But what do you think is important? What do we have to do?
You have to be aware and pray.
Yeah, aware and pray. Exactly. Very important. And yeah, I think we need to be cautious all the time and pray. That helps a lot. So what I wanted to let you know is that, here it is, learn Master's teachings and put them to practice sincerely every day. So that is so important. As soon as you stop doing that, like we become an ordinary person. We're no longer Buddha's disciples, actually, but we have to keep on learning his teachings and try to put that with sincere heart every day. Put your energy into that, but also keep this very peaceful state of your mind. That's very important too. All right. So This is today's title, How to Protect Yourself from Negative Spiritual Influences. And I'm going to ask you questions. So what would you say the answer would be? How do you protect yourself from negative spiritual influences? Master has taught us several things, or many things actually. So what do you think? Calm mind. James, thank you. It's very important to keep your mind calm all the time. It is very important. Thank you, James.
Hi, this is Tilo.
Hi, Tilo.
Calm your meditation to help calm your mind.
Meditation to calm your mind.
Yeah, and self-reflection with it.
That's great. Thank you, Tilo.
Thank you.
Self-reflection and always try to calm your mind. Meditation, that really helps. Anyone else? Be one with Alcantara, Jennifer said. Good job. That's quite important. But how do we become one with Alcantara?
Of course, our very valuable Qigong.
Qigong, yes. The ritual prayer service, yes. Qigong's very important. So you receive the guidance from the heavenly world, from a guiding spirit. Each Qigong does have guiding spirit to help us. So it's a promise between us and Master. So it really is important. And James said, develop egoless mind. Egoless mind is important, isn't it? It is very important. Thank you, James. Call upon his name, know the power of the Lord. Yes, it's very important to be with the Lord. Yeah, good job, Jennifer. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd say reciting the true words spoken by Buddha
Yeah,
as many times as possible a day.
yeah, that creates spiritual screen. Thank you. Yeah, that's important. One of the famous head of the shoja from this is Sendai Shoshinkan. That Sendai is where the tsunami hit in 2011. Anyway, there's a shoja. They built that after that tsunami, and that head of the shoja, he always gives me advice, or everyone advice, that I think he's always constantly reciting it though, constantly. I mean, throughout the day. So to become a head of shoja in Sendai, Master has to pick someone who is like the strongest. The former head of the Shoshinkan over there actually went back and went to be with the Lord, meaning went back to heaven, because after tsunami, a lot of people died, and then there are a lot of souls there, and they come to shoja, come to the head of the shoja leaders and tried asking for help. And this Master said that he had a very, very sweet and kind heart, and he was like receiving all the negative like a vibration and powers, and then he could not stay there anymore. So that my point is that the today's head of shoja in Sendai, he's been there for how many years? Many years by now. But then he always said, keep on reciting true words spoken by Buddha constantly throughout the day. So thank you, Barry. Anyone else? How do you protect yourself from negative spiritual influences?
One thing that I really like, Mimi, is to push out negative thoughts with positive thinking.
Oh, yeah, it's so you, Jim. Yeah, good job. You
Thank
have,
you.
yeah, very positive mindset all the time. So excellent, Jim. That's very important. Yeah, that has a lot to do with the law of the same wavelengths, doesn't it? Because you have a positive mind, then you're not going to be connected to the dark part of the other world. Thank you, Jim. Good job. Anyone else? I guess we all got the answers. Anything else? Is that all right? Okay, so let's proceed. So, like I said, today's lecture, okay, James said, listen to Master's teaching and reading each day. Yes, that's very important. Thank you, James. That is quite important. Oh, hi, Nancy. Sorry, I didn't see. I'm pretty sure the Sendai leader recites Shoshinho. Yes, that's what he does. Thank you, Nancy. That's what he recites the true words spoken by Buddha. So, thank you, guys.
I think, I'm sorry. If
Oh,
I
I mean, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should be during the day. We should be more
Mhm.
alert
Mhm.
to receiving the signs that our energy is kind of lower and they are influencing. There are other influences by the first sign of, let's say, negative thoughts. We should just stop right then and there, wherever or whatever we do. That's what I mean, actually I am doing. I'm just,
Good.
when someone comes up to me with a negative thought or negative comment, I just stop right there before I answer. I calm myself and I'm starting praying. I'm like,
Right.
we should probably be alert with the signs that they are sending. First, they are sending signs. It could be people speaking negative. It could be us suddenly feeling like, oh, this thing is not good. Suddenly, you are like, this was good yesterday. What happened to you? So I'm trying to be more alert with my whereabouts. What's going on around me? Why am I feeling this? How is it? So stop it. Think about it a little bit, calm your mind, start praying short prayers, whatever. Just ask your guardian and guiding spirits to help you right then and there, cleanse you right then and there, until you come home, until you get to the place that you really can meditate and pray. So be alert of those signs. Like, first, I'm assuming they're sending signs, and then the major attack, so to speak.
Right. There's always a sign before. So thank you. That's quite important, though. You have to be aware of it, alert. It's good to try to protect yourself. You know, we all always get affected by, you know, people around us, what they say, what they're talking about, even like a TV shows and movies and you know, news and everything. So you have to be very, very careful about that. I thought about my brother-in-law, who is a doctor in Japan, and he sees patients like if it's in wintertime, like let's say over 100 patients a day. And, you know, the patients, because they're all, you know, sick people, they have negative vibration. And, you know, some people really complain a lot. And he said that he's listening to them, but then he's always careful that it's not going to go all the way and then actually, you know, goes into his heart. Or he has to be very, very careful, have to have a spiritual screen. And then what he does is like he's listening to what patients say, but he's actually thinking of he's in tropical island in Hawaii and at the beach and it's nice sunshine and then beautiful place. And he said that's what he has in his mind while he's listening. So, you know, don't be affected by negative energy, negative influences. You have to be very careful. So thank you. All right. So today's this exorcism or how to protect yourself from negative spiritual influence is again based on his recent book, The Laws of Secret. And the Master has given us teachings of the exorcism here, there, and everywhere actually in the last 30-something years. But this one is particularly from this book, right? So in this book, he talks about something we should not do or something we should, and then also something we should do in regards to exorcism. And so do not do, number one, do not do means like what we must not do, what we need to avoid, what we need to be careful about. That's number one. So number two, what we need to do is on the other hand. Okay, always polish the qualities that put off devils. That's what it says in the book. And that is very, very important. Always polish the qualities that put off devils. So again, this is like a big structure of tonight's study group. So number one is do not do. Number two is do this. All right, so do not do. So I'm going to start with the do not do, and then I'm going to do later what we need to do. And what we need to do again is always polish the qualities that put off devils. All right, so remember some lines are important, you know, from the PowerPoint page that you saw already. The one was the trying to attune your mind to the heavenly world. That's also important in exorcism. And the next one is what we need to do is always polish the qualities that put off devils. All right. So this one is not in, I don't think this is in English. Devil's pet peeves. In Japanese, 悪魔の嫌うこと. And in this book, Master talks about 3 important things, you know, what devils hate. So it's actually in this movie, remember the real exorcist? At the very end of the movie, she's the star of the movie. Her name in the show is Kyoka, and Kyoka was reading this book, and she said 3 important things. Does anyone remember? That's devil's pet peeves. What devil hates? What would that be? Does anyone remember that? And I remember she said that the exorcist Sayuri has all these conditions. Okay, James said humility. Yes, humility. Yeah, that's very important. Very, very important. Yes, thank you, James. And Peter said diligence. Those are quite important. And those 2 are something I'll be talking about today. Yes. Anyone else? Nancy said the humility, self-reflection. Okay. Those are important too. Self-reflection on top of humility. Of course, you have to be modest and love that gives. Jamie, thank you. Those are all important. Anyone else? Okay, then James said effort. Effort is quite important. Thank you. Very important. Do you remember that scene at the very end at the cafe? She and her boyfriend and I believe Sayuri, the exorcist, 3 of them are talking, and she had this book in her hand, and she was reading this book, and then 3 main points of devil's pet peeves are number 1 this, 2 this, and number 3 this. And she goes, oh, you Sayuri, you have all of them. Positive thinking. Okay, Seiko said positive thinking. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? All right, I'm going to ask Yoko then. All right, what's that?
Hi, this is Tilo. One
Yes.
of them is don't lie.
Don't lie. Good job.
They don't like it.
That's right. Yes, thank you. So some of you already have the answers, but I never said that was the answer. But what Tilo said is the number 1 of 3. Thank you. Good job. All right. So I'm going to put it up. So 3 conditions that devils hate is be honest and don't lie is what it is. Exactly what Tilo said. Thank you. And anyone else? All right, I'll put up the be diligent. So James said effort, Peter said diligence. Good job. You guys are right. And number 3 is be positive. So Seiko said that, positive thinking. Good job. So particularly those 3 are what it says in that book, 3 conditions that devils hate. So why am I talking about this? Because remember, don't do always polish, what we need to do is always polish the qualities that put off devils. And that's why I kind of went aside. This is not from the laws of secret, but because we talked about what we need to do is we have to polish the quality that devils hate. That is exactly what we are talking about. That's number 1 is be honest, be diligent, be positive, those 3. So those are the things. But some of them are also from the laws of secret, but yeah, be positive and be constructive. Yeah, I forgot to put it up. All right. So again, there are a lot of books that I couldn't even put up here of exorcism from Master's teachings. There are a lot of, I mean, this is just a part of it. There are many, including the music, the exorcism. But again, today's talk is based on the laws of secret, chapter 3, the condition of real exorcist. All right, so let's watch the first clip of that. So I'm gonna skip the little right in the middle. All right, let's watch the first clip.
極端にえぐれているものって言いますか、欠乏しているものがあると、それが考え方を固定してしまうので、気をつけないといけないところはあると思うんですね。まあ、シャクソンの言う中道なんかも、そういうものを十分に経験した上での、まあ、ものかなというふうに思います。また、宗教は古いものが多いので、製品の思想的なものを説くところが多いと思うんです。決して反対しているわけではありません。どちらかといえば修行時代等はある程度製品の思想はあってもいいんじゃないかなと私はまあ思っています。あんまりこうなんて言いますか、まあ今格差社会とかいろいろ貧困とかを問題する人も多いんですけれども、まあ、極度の貧困とか物不足、お金不足等、まあ、少年時代、青年時代経験しますとね、まあ、やっぱり、まあ、客観的には犯罪の世界に巻き込まれることはとても、まあ、多いですよね。まあ、そういうこともあるし、また飛んでるものを羨むことも、まあ、多いから、まあ、ある程度の経済的安定を目指すことは、まあ、大事なことではあるんだとは、まあ、思うんですよね。欠乏からやはり犯罪だって肯定されてきますからね。東京の街歩けばどこも物が溢れてますもんね。その中で自分が食べてないとか、家にお金がないとかいう状況だったら、そういうものが溢れた人たちからですね、ちょっとぐらい取ったって何も悪いことなかろうという気持ちもなるのは分かるような気がしますし、まあそういうものを肯定するような映画等は、映画とドラマとかもよくありますのでね、まあ、それは難しいところかとは思いますが、まあ、いずれにしても、まあ、あんまり天国的なものではないというふうには思わなきゃいけないと思いますね。なので気をつけなければ、まあ、いけないと思いますね。まあ、特に、まあ、そうしたお金で困っているような人、毎日困っているような人が、その製品の思想に耐えて、堅実に少しずつ前進しながら努力して、まあ、神仏もご賞らがれと、まあ、この人を見ていれば、なるほどと 納得するような努力なされていると。言うなら、悪の手先になることも少なかろうとは、思いますけれども、そういった苦労している中に、ひがみ心とか、嫉妬心とか、怒りの心とか、犯罪性とか、こういうものが芽生えてきたら、若くてもね、10代とかの後半あたりでももう十分不良非行に走る方もいらっしゃいますので、こう非行少年、不良少年たちが犯罪に走ることもあります。まとまってね、犯罪することもあるので、これ、やっぱり、真のエクソシスト、ザ・リアルエクソシストの条件としては、あんまりなんていうかな、人間性がねじ曲がるような貧困状態等に長くあることはよろしいことではないと思います。ただ、歴史的にはいろんな宗教の教祖が目覚めるときには、貧困とか大病とかね、あるいは肉親の死とか、そういうものを、契機にして、宗教の道、悟りの道に入る場合もあるので、ちょっと長い目で見なければ全体はわからないというところはあります。ありますけれども、客観的に堕落し、犯罪性を帯びるような環境の方に追い込まれていくときは、結構逆風ですので、その中で、前に進むっていうことは相当な、覚悟とやっぱり実力は必要かなと思いますね。そういう意味で、金銭的、経済的な欠乏、あるいは、健康の、欠乏といいますか、病気、障害、あるいは身内の病気や、あるいは死、肉親の死等によって、心がすごくえぐれたり、立ち直れなかったり、回復不能っていう状態もあるとは思うんです。現実にはそれは子供時代に片親が亡くなるとか、両方亡くなる場合もあるけども、全員が全員悪人になるわけじゃありませんので、ちゃんと立ち直って、自分は立派な家庭を築いて仕事される方もいます。ただ、それを言い訳にして、自分が悪い人間になっていくことを肯定するような方もいますね。これ、よく気をつけられた方がいいと思います。だから、最後、悪魔との戦いに入るときにですね、その魂のルーツというか、自分の歴史の中で、どうしても抜きがたい、この棘みたいなのが刺さっている。棘なり針なり、それが刺さってて、これがネックで引っ掛けられてるっていうのが分かる場合があるので、気をつけないと、もう過去のことだと思ってても、それが棘のように刺さってるために、悪魔がどうしてもそこに引っ掛けてくるっていう時があるので、反省というのはそこまで十分に及んでいかなきゃいけない。過去に向かって、自分のですね、いろんなことに出来事に対してどう対応したか、どう対処したか、それについてどういうふうに考えていったか、ここのところまで遡ってきれいに磨いていかないと、今のところ表面的にはうまくいっているので、これで相手しているうちにだんだん向こうが手強くなってくると、過去のそうした自分の傷口のところにナイフを差し込んでくるような戦い方をされることはございます。同じことは異性問題はやっぱり
All right. All right. Thank you very much. Sorry. Okay. All right, James, thank you. You have the good, bad, and the ugly look at. Thank you, James. Exactly. So what do you think? So what we are talking here is number one, which is what to avoid and what we need to be careful about. what did he say at the very beginning of this clip? What was he talking about? Okay, poverty, yes, poverty. So James says poverty. Thank you, James. So it is, he talked about the poverty. It's a concept of what they call a virtuous poverty. So what is that? What does that mean?
The concept or feeling that you're more spiritually connected because you should be poor.
Thank you, Julie. And James says all religions. Yes, so it does have something to do with the religion. Jennifer says sacrificing poorness. Yes. So especially for like people are in religion, they tend to like praise poverty. You know, that's a sacred thing. You should not have a luxurious life and this and that. So they, you know, Master said, don't think it's a good thing, you know, because it could actually, for exorcism, it's not good, Master says. You should not be. The reason why, let's go to this part here. Master says, if they develop resentment, jealousy, anger, or criminal tendencies as they struggle, they could turn to crime or delinquency at the young age or in their late teens. Yes, this is one of the reasons why he said don't praise poverty or don't think it's a sacred thing. There's another thing, the experiencing extreme poverty. Sorry about this, keeps on popping up. Experiencing extreme poverty for a prolonged period of time to the extent of distorting one's human nature is not a favorable condition for becoming the real exorcist. So it's a middle way, right? It's you know, it doesn't have to be you know, luxurious but you don't want to be extremely poor, so don't need to praise that. So especially for becoming the real exorcist, he said this is not a favorable condition, is what Master said. And then he also talked about thorns and needles. James says poverty causes many bad tendencies. Yes, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, thank you, James. Poverty does cause many bad tendencies. So it's good to be wealthy, abundant, you know, so you can maintain happiness, so you can share that happiness with other people. So B is thorns and needles. So what is A, B? That means like what we have to be careful about, what we don't want to have or what we don't want to do is thorns and needles. So he said, you may sometimes find thorns or needles that have been struck at the roots of your soul or in the history of your life. These thorns or needles are hard to remove, so devils may take advantage of them to approach you. So I think most people, like, you know, in life, you go up and go through ups and downs, and everyone probably has some experience of getting hurt. So, but if you don't remove that feelings, you know, then the devil's gonna come and get you even today. If something that happens in a long time ago in the past. So Peter said self-reflection, not excuses. Oh, thank you, Peter. So we have to do the self-reflection. That's so important, isn't it? But I'm sure we all think we're doing self-reflection, right? You may think that these experiences are all in the past, but if the thorns are still struck in your mind, devils can use these thorns to sneak into your mind. So you need to be careful. So you need to do self-reflection, of course, like Peter said. The Master said, for this reason, you must practice self-reflection very deeply. Make sure you don't have any thorns in your mind anymore. You need to polish and purify your mind by tracking back all the events of the past, checking how you reacted to and handle each of them, examining what thoughts you had at the time. So this like tells you like how deep self-reflection has to be. Let me see. James said, heal the ugly parts. Yes, we have to heal the painful, ugly parts from the past completely is what Master is saying. Don't leave any of that part anymore. So otherwise, even if you may appear to be doing well in dealing with devils at first, as you continue to fight more devils, you will eventually face stronger ones that will fight as if to stab a knife into the wounds of your past. They will come and get you, you know, even if the little tiny ugly part that you have thorned in your heart, they will come and get you. So especially Happy Science leader members, be careful. We have to do the thorough self-reflection. All right, so next part is C, romantic relationships. This is page 130. In fact, such relationship issues involving the opposite sex can be very big problem in the world of spiritual mediumship, especially when exorcisms are involved. So this is because these issues are often used as one of the largest targets for the devil's attack. So we have to be very careful about that. You know, even among like Happy Science staff members, I have seen several cases that people lost the sacred job being a Happy Science priest or staff members because of this. You know, sometimes it's inside a Happy Science staff members, and sometimes with the person outside. But I have seen several of these cases. You have to be very, very careful. The devils are after you. They're hard to solve. Jamie said my book only has 125 pages. 125 pages. Oh, James said to look at Master's eldest son. Yes, that's true. Thank you, James. And Jamie said my book only has 125. Which book are you you talking about? The book, the Laws of Secret? Did I? Or are you talking about the book of the Laws of Secret? Maybe you have the different one from what I have then. All right. So so they're hard to solve. You may be able to solve the problem when it only concerns you, but when another person is involved in interpersonal relationships, things get extremely difficult and things could get extremely ugly too. So be very, very careful. And these things, it doesn't happen overnight or, you know, in a short time. It's a gradual process, Master says. It's like a drip in the ink in the bucket of water. At first, it's still clear for a while, but then eventually it's going to be completely, you know, totally different color. So you have to be careful. Let's see. Nancy said, my English edition has 258 pages. Yeah, I think mine does too. 200, right. So maybe Jamie has a different type of kind of book. All right, so the gradual process, like a drip in the ink in a bucket of water, or he said like entangling in the spider web little by little, but you get really, really entangled at the end. Oh, the seminal material booklet. Oh, I see. So that's a different book. Yeah, we have the Laws of Secret. That's so maybe I can send it the right one to you, Jamie, later. Right? So we're talking about what we have to be careful about, what we need to avoid. You're welcome, Jamie. So D, so we talk about A, B, C, and now we're D, interpersonal relationships. So you have to be careful. Those who are on the road to enlightenment must fear the dangers of getting tricked by relationships. That is why you must sometimes limit your social interactions for a certain period of time to carry out spiritual training. If you openly associate with various people, you will have to adjust yourself to them, which may hinder your spiritual training. I don't know if you ever heard about those people who work very close to master, like a secretaries. So it's a big group of people working for master, but that they're not allowed to have a relationship with, let's say, going steady or having a boyfriend or girlfriend, or they're not allowed to have. Not for the rest of their lives, it's just while they are working closely with master. And the reason is, I think, because of this. Yeah, and then I'm sure it has a lot to do with the negative spiritual influence too. So this is the reason why. And so what we need to avoid, E, so we talked about A, B, C, D. E now is desire. Even those who believe themselves to be pure-minded, faithful people have desires. We all have desires, right? And among all the desires, which one would be left until the end? Desire and lust is a strong, powerful, let's see, powerful instinct. James said it is, isn't it? Thank you, James. Yeah. So which one would be the one that's going to be left until the end? So Master always tells us not to have this.
Lost, I'm thinking.
Lust is what you said?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes,
lust,
no.
right? Yeah, thank you. So you and James had the same answer, lust. Okay, that is very, very dangerous, isn't it? But Master says something else. Okay, James said greed. It is greed. What type of greed is it? Is the question. So we have can anyone guess? Sensual senses. Yeah, those could be one of them. But particularly, Master says, and he talked about the staff members, especially the ones who used to help Master at the very beginning. First, how many years? Maybe like the first 3 to 5 years or so. They were working. James said jealousy, taking love, jealousy. Thank you, James. Those are the, that is one of the answers. Thank you. Yeah. So among all the desires, of which one would be left until the end? So the group of people who came, gathered, all over from Japan, they were with Master at the beginning, but they left happy science because of that. So what is that? Let me put it up. Some people abandon worldly interest and don't care about money or staying single. However, even these people find it difficult to get rid of the desire for something until the very end. So let me put it up. It's fame is one of them, right? So because of that, yeah, some people left. And another type of problem is the other organization develops. Organization here means happy science develop. They may eventually become unfit to fulfill their current roles and find themselves going further away from me. Me means master. At such times, they often go into a rage. So he's talking about the staff members who helped Master start Happy Science at the very beginning, but they eventually left. They couldn't, as new staff member joined, they started getting like a higher position, and the old staff members couldn't take it, because of the fame, and also what James said. During times like this, problems regarding the desire for fame and jealousy will arise. So those two are something that we have to be very, very careful, because this kind of desire stays with us till the very end, Master said. So even if you don't have any desires for money or other stuff, but you still have that till the very end. You have to be very careful. Any questions? Jealousy and envy, Nancy said. Yes, it is jealousy and envy, isn't it? Thank you, Nancy. So if not, let's watch the next clip. All right.
かなとは思います。で、先ほど言いましたようにですね、男性が例えば修行し悟りを開いて、活動するにしても、女性からの純粋な応援の念波を受けてやるときは守られているし、悪も悪霊にも強いと思います。だからこれで巫女さんなんかよく発生している理由ですね。汚れのない若い女性たちがこう支援している状態だと、ちょうどこの悪魔と戦うような時に、ある種の純粋な愛の概念ですよね。こういう巫女さんから、神仏に対する信仰心のようなものがこう放射されているわけなので、これが応援されている状態になるので、守る意味、ある程度の守る意味にはなるだろうと思います。ただ、これが計算づくのですね、男女関係でドロドロしたものになれば守るものにならなくて、今度はこれを引きずり倒すようなものにもなると思いますね。初期の仏教では結婚もできず子供も作らないのが普通ではあったが、中世以降はそれも結婚したり子供できたりするのも普通になってきましたですけど、負担感があることは事実でして、修行に打ち込んでいる者にとっては、経済的負担というのが一番大きかっただろうと思うし、初期の仏教教団でそうした、なんて言いますかね、サラリーマン風に勤務時間だけ仕事をすれば、あとは家庭生活を別にやってもいいというだけの余裕を作る力はなかったし、そういう形を作れば、在家の方と別に生活パターンが変わりませんので、在家の方が一方的にお布施して、出家の方がそれを消費するっていうスタイルが、なかなか歓迎されなかったっていうか、伝統的なものもありますけども、歓迎されなかったっていう面もあったかと思います。独身でやって、貧しいのでお布施をいただくという形があったことがあったし、それでも他教団との競争とかありましたので、徳がある宗教や信者である、あるいは修行者であるというようなことでお布施が集まるというようなこともあったんで、その意味での厳しい修行をやってるとか、徳があるというようなことの評判でね、やっぱりお布施が集まる面もあったんで、なかなか週刊誌はなかった時代ではあるけれども、一応人の噂ややっぱり評価が影響する時代ではあったというふうに思います。今もエクソシストやるときに必ず悪魔の方は独身であれ、相手がですね、独身であれ、妻帯者であれ、やはりこの狙えるとこ弱みと思えるものは何でも狙ってきますので、この弱みのところはできるだけやっぱりもう防御する以外方法はありませんので、できるだけ矛もあれば盾もありますように、矛は相手を攻撃する 武器ですけど、盾の方を守る武器ですよね。だから、狙ってくる隙は、まあ、よく教えてる通り、頓自慢儀、野犬、みたいなとこですので、まあ、この辺の狙ってくるところに対して、やっぱりブロックをかける。穴が開いてたら隙は埋める。ちゃんと隙間を埋めていく努力をしていくことが、まあ、大事なんじゃないかと思います。
All right. So I got some comments. Peter said, I think those things can spread kind of like a virus too. I believe so too. Thank you, Peter. And Jamie said, greed. Yeah, the greed is something we really need to actually avoid. Accident. Oh, that's what it is? Oh, okay. Thank you. James, this is really informative. Thank you, James. Thank you so much. Sorry, I was just reading loud. Okay, so let's move to the next part. The common weakness that devils aim to attack is, of course, you know, it's greed, anger, foolishness, pride, doubt, false views. And you all know that these are like the poison of the mind, right? So he said we have to be very careful, very, very careful. It should not have not even a hint of that. So it is important to block these weaknesses and make efforts to fill in any unguarded gaps you may have. So unguarded gaps in Japanese is suki here. So we have to be very careful, especially, I repeat many times, but as happy science leader members, always be aware. And then Master talked about the shrine maidens. Those are Shinto shrine maidens. Those are young ladies. They work at the Shinto shrine. Why are they there? They actually help spiritually the priest, Master says. What happens when a man fights the devil while receiving support from young, pure-hearted shrine maidens? He said. A form of pure love and faith in God are emitted from these shrine maidens. So there is something we can learn from that we have to have the same thing too. Faith in God and pure love. And that actually helps who's doing an exorcism. So to become an exorcist or to protect yourself from negative spiritual influences, we need to actually have pure love and faith in God. This work to support and protect the man. So that from the shrine maidens help the priest at shrine. So again, this is what we're talking about. So we talked about do not do, and now we're going to move to what we need to do. All right. Any questions? All right, let's watch the next clip.
まあ、あと、今日の話をするについて、ちょっと質問をいただいているものもあるんですが、個人の修行レベルがどこまでいってるかの判定方法はあるかっていうような質問もあるんですけども、これを客観的に判定するのはなかなか難しいですね。東海なんかでも、検定式みたいなのやったりしてますけど、別に、その点数で、悟りが高いとは必ずしも言えない、ところもありますし、地位を与えることも年齢と経験 や仕事能力で地位を与えられることもあるけど、その順で悟ってるとも必ずしも、言えないと、思います。それから、独身時代は、心清らかだったのに、10年以降はそうでなくなったっていう人だって、あるだろうから、実際、実社会で起きるような、転落の要因は数限りなくあり得るだろうと、思います。いずれにしても、簡単な解決方法は、人間としてこの世に生きているという条件付けられた存在ですので、その中で出てくる、なんて言いますか、地上的な欲ですね。この世的な欲望ってやっぱりありますので、この辺がよくコントロールされている、よく制御されているかどうかって、これは仏典にもよく出てくる言葉ですけどね。だから、普通は何かを成し遂げたから偉いっていうふうに思われがちであるけれども、仏典に説かれている教えは、何かを成し遂げたというよりは、よくその心身ともによく調御されている、統御されている、そういう生活を送っているということを褒めたたえていることが多いですね。これ毎日毎日のことではあるんで、そういうことを積み重ねていって、だんだんに周りから認められていったり、実際にこの人の祈願が効きそうだとかですね、この人の悪魔払いを効きそうだっていうのを、なんとなく信者の方は分かってきて、いうところがあるので、この世の普通の財系集団と同じように、肩書きとか年齢とか、収入だけで決まるもんでは、ないということは知っておいた方がいいと思うし、努力してその自分をよく統御しているものを調整してやっているものをやっぱりそういう力を維持できるし、増やしていくこともできるということですね。ある意味では地上で生きる以上欲がなんか生きていけないんですけれども、この欲があるものをよく接して、それを貯金として積んだものが、やっぱり霊的な力が出てきやすいというふうに見たらよろしいんじゃないかと思いますね。ですから、意外にそのボクシングのパンチや、キックボクシングのキックや、柔道の投げとかの力もありますけれども、そういうフォースではありませんけれども、普段なんて言いますか、柔軟で、寛容で、穏やかに生きている人が、現実には強いフォースって言いますか、念力系の力を発揮することができる場合もあります。だから普段は限りなく、だから寛容で多くの人に対して慈悲の心でもって接する、そういう人でいいんですが、ここ一番この悪なるものと戦う、それを重複するということになったら、自分の、霊エネルギーを集中して、それを追い払う力に、なります。この追い払い方はいろいろ各種手法で教えているので、できるようになればそうあってもいいと思いますが、
All right, so let's go over what we just watched. So from here is we're going to be talking about what to do to protect ourselves from the negative spiritual influences. So number one, Master said how well we are able to control and restrain these earthly desires, and how well they have trained and controlled their minds and bodies in their daily lives rather than for what they have accomplished in this world. So we have to control ourselves, especially restrain the desires and so on. So what matters is the day-to-day effort. So this is especially important. So I put in the red letters, the day-to-day efforts. Page 154, it says, James said, inner world opposed to external world. Thank you, James. Yes, inner world is very, very more important. That's what we need to change. Thank you, James. Those who make an effort to control and govern themselves will be able to maintain and strengthen their spiritual power. So we have to be able to control ourselves inside. So the force has two types of force. There's physical force, but he was talking about spiritual force. Those who usually live with a flexible, generous, and peaceful mind can exert a surprisingly strong force, the force of willpower. So that's important. The body parts that emit spiritual power. This is the part you did not watch, but I'll tell you, he talks about this in this chapter. Number one is a hand power. And it's between eyebrows. There's a term in Japanese, it's miken, but in English, I believe it's between the eyebrows. It's where the chakra is. And number three is eyes, and four is mouth, and of course, the lastly, it's heart. So those are the body parts that emit spiritual power. And especially Master says about hand power, it's easy to use and the power is quite effective. So the hand power, so we use hand power when we do the perform Alcantara fight at home. And kokoro is heart. It's a certain amount of power of love is emitted from the area around the heart. So James said, we see Master use hand power a lot in Luxembourg. He does, doesn't he? Yeah. He said it really depends on like now they call that assistant spirit. They used to call it guiding spirit. When he talks, there's always a spirit or spirits, several spirits that help in him. And then he does all kinds of hand motions too, especially when call the spirits from the heavenly world. And he said he does this, it really depends on the guiding spirit. Whatever he wants to do at that point, at that time, he does it because of the guiding spirit. All right. So with this power of love, you can dispel evil at times, forgive evil at other times, and melt away evil on other occasions. So for example, some people give off an air atmosphere that it discourages others from fighting them. Even people who normally commit evil deeds will not be able to do anything bad to those with overwhelming goodwill. So when you're emitting a very generous, kind, sweet, loving vibration, those bad people or who are always trying to find someone to trick, they cannot come to you. They will avoid you. That's what it is spiritually. That's actually that happens. So here he said the gangsters often target those who are off guard, and they seem to sense that certain types of people should not be targeted. So they already know too. So it's important to give off goodwill. So always have the good mind and always have to have a good vibration. That's so important to protect yourself. So someone asked Master how to create spiritual screen against strong evil spirits and devils. And the Master said, these are common things in Japan for like exorcism or to create the sacred space. The one on the left is salt. So they put like a salt at the entrance of your house, or the one on the right is the rope at the Shinto shrine, and the space inside the rope is supposed to be sacred. But Master said here, none of them works, actually. None of them actually worked. So don't worry about that, he said. There's more important thing than that. And this is the last clip that you're going to be watching now.
「力が出てるのは それをライフルで撃ち殺せるとか、まあ、こんなないかなと思います。あと、まあ、電気系統によく来るっていうのは、まあ、これは本当にまあちょっと来ることは来るので、この原理がどういう原理なのかは少し分かりかねるものはあるんですが、まあ、電気が消えたりとか、そういうようなことはあるとは思いますね。もちろんそれから病気になったりするのはよくありますよね。そういう悪いやつに取りつかれたら、その人がまあ死んだ時の病気の状態のままでいるような場合、それは縁がある人、何か友達だとか、親兄弟、親戚とか何かの拍子にパッと取り付くことができれば、同じような病気にかかって、代々同じ病気で死ぬっていう家系もありますね。3代連続がんで死ぬとか、3代連続首吊りで死ぬとか、この辺の場合は大体取りつかれて同じ死に方していくようなところがあるので、これは一応、悟るべきですね。これは何か来ていると。あるいは家系的にずっとついているものがやっぱりいるという死神風にね、成仏してないご先祖でそういうのがいるので、まあ、こういう場合はもうちょっと個人では相手するのは難しくなりますので、まあ、同会の支部や商社等で、まあ、研修受けたり、同志にいろいろ払ってもらったり、いろいろした方がいいと思います。まあ、すぐには、一発で消せるもんではないので、それでそういうところにいない時間の方が長いですから、なかなか消せるもんではありませんが、そういうきっかけをまず受けて、悟りへの道がついて、自分がやっぱり努力精進して、何とかしてこういうものとは違う生き方をしようと。要するに水と油みたいになればいいわけなので、そういう悪いことを起こそうとしているやつと、心が全然違ってしまえば、水と油みたいに弾くようになるので、そういう同じような心を持たないように、違う心で自分の内側を埋めるようにする。そのために、私のいろんな本とか、説法とか、こういうものがあるわけですね。そういう意味で定期的に講演会等があれば、その講演を聞くとか、説法会があったらそれを聞くとか、あるいは、同志の人たちと交流をする場を持つとか、非常に大事なことだと思うし、まあ、悪霊払い的な、儀式もあるとは思いますが、一発で外せるようなものもあるけども、長くいるものの場合は、外しても戻ってくることが多いので、定期的に毎月のように、やっぱりちゃんと、商社とか支部とかに行って、毎月のように顔を出して、やっぱり説法を聞いたり、手法をやってもらったり、何かに参加していくっていうことは、大事なことなんじゃないかなと思います。簡単に外せるようなもんでないんですよね。だから、私も初期の頃に、まだ修行も進んでない人を霊道開かしたりしたことはあるんですけども、最初はいいんですけど、最初は守護霊レベルが来て、いいんですが、1ヶ月もしないうちに悪霊が入ってき始めて、自分で追い払えないんですよ。自力で開いたもんでないものだから、追い払えないでいるので、こういう時に本当に処方に戻って、名誉心とか、虚栄心とか、こういうものをちょっと取り払って、この世的な意味でのなんか、偉いとか偉くないとか、こんな考え方取り払って、本当謙虚に透明な心を求めて、一信者としてあるいは一修行者として修行するという立場に戻るべきだと思いますね。それを続けていくと、だんだんにまた正常に戻ってくると思います。先ほど言ったように、バケツに黒いインクを一滴一滴落としてだんだん全体が真っ黒になってきますが、逆に濁った水になっていっても、今度はこれに清水をきれいな水を一滴一滴落としていくうちにだんだん今度は溢れてきて澄んでくる。いつかは飲めるようになって、飲み水にも洗い水にも使えるようになる。同じようなもんですね。だから一旦濁って自分が濁ったためにそういうものを同類のものを引きつける状態に今なっているならば、今度はその正反対の正になるものをちょっとずつ入れていく。薄絹を剥がすように少しずつ取っていくこと、自分のですね、汚れの部分を取っていくことが大事で、修行っていうのはある程度年数続けなければダメですね。だから 本当は、年数は効きます。だから一定の年数やってるうちにいろんな事態に経験しますからね。だいたい10年ぐらいやっていると、あらゆる事態に大体は遭遇することは、多いんですけどね。講師とかそういうになりますと、20年、30年、やっぱりやってる人はそれなりの強さはあるだろうと思います。やっぱり力はあることが多いです。ただ、長くやって、地位が高くなって、慢心してきて、修行をちょっと怠るようになってきたら、払えなくなってきて、逆に狙われてくることもあるので、それはお互いによく注意し合わなければいけないんじゃないかと思います。あともう一つは、教団みたいなの嫌いな人もいるんですけどね、本だけ出版されたら、親で買って読めばいいとか、大講演会の時だけちょっと行って聞けばそんでいいとか思う人もいるとは思うんですけども、やっぱりその組織等になんかいろいろと制約かけられたり、戒律作られたりするのは嫌だっていう人は昔からたくさんいるんだけど、ちょっとそういう人にもやこぜん傾向があることはあるんで、やっぱり組織の中にやっぱりで修行していることによって相互の力で守られることがあります。個人対個人だと弱いもんですけども、教団という大きな組織で大勢の人が同じような修行をやって同じようなことを考えて、そういう念波で包みというか土手を作っている、氾濫しない土手を作ってくれている状態なんで、その中に入りながらやっぱり修行して、最後はエルカンターレのところまでちゃんとつながっているという、でエルカンターレ支援レーダーの方まで全部つながっている、こういう大きなものにつながっているということが自分を守る力になる。これ全部とつながったらやっぱりどんな悪魔だって太刀打ちはできないことになると思いますので、個人で戦える範囲には限界はある程度は悟るべきかなというふうに思います。
All right. Sorry, I missed your comment, Peter. We need both shield and a halberd. Not becoming overly defensive, which leads to poverty. Not always asserting ourselves, which is like an egoist. But building up power steadily and utilizing that power when it is necessary. Exactly, Peter. Thank you. It's a very important point. Thank you so much. And Jamie also shared, when I was a child, my mother and I wrote a prayer to God asking for our home to be protected. We sat outside under the moon and put the prayer in a glass candle, and the candle exploded somehow. The ending is kind of funny, but that's beautiful, Jamie. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, so what we need to do, number one is control and restrain earthly desires, control our mind and body. And number two is creating a spiritual screen, Master talked about. And I'm going to go by A, B, C, D. A, how do we create a spiritual screen? Visit Happy Science local branches and shoja regularly. That's very important to be connected to Happy Science. It's important to find an opportunity to walk the road to enlightenment and be determined to make an effort to live differently than how the spirits had lived. It's very important. And he talked about it's like oil and water. That's what we need to do. So all you need to do is we need to have the vibration that repel negative spiritual influences. So that's why the law of cause and effect, the law of the same wavelength, work here. It's very important, the most important laws of all. All right, so we're going to go over creating spiritual screen. Number one is visit shoja and your local temple, and B, listen to Master's lecture, of course, read his books and participate in the seminars, find an opportunity to talk with the priest, to have an exorcism performed, participate in other activities. Those are very, very important. So you always have the connection with the Happy Science guiding spirit as well. Like each time you take Kigam, you have the connection with the guiding spirit, and that remains for a long time. And of course, for creating spiritual screen, this weekly online study, well, he didn't mention that, but is part of that too. It's very important. So we can be, we can't see it, but we have like a spiritual connection among Dharma friends who are online every Thursday night. And that this is true. And this actually really protects us from all kinds of negative spiritual influences. I have given some advice to people who had problem with the negative spiritual influences, and I always tell them, make sure you come to Shibu, you come to local temple, you attend this and that. You have to do that, and that's the key. So we're talking about what to do and what we should not do in terms with protecting ourselves from negative spiritual influences. So we're talking about what we need to do. Number one is control and restrain your desires. That's day-to-day efforts. And two is create the spiritual screen. A, visit Shoja. B, study the teachings. C, weekly online study. And then I'm about to go to the next, but the three treasures Buddha, Dharma, Sangha is Nancy said. These are very important. So we need to be connected. We have that kind of a spiritual connection. Thank you, Nancy. Very important. And Peter said, when we both work together and are strong as individuals, miracles can happen. 300 Spartans held the path at what? Thermopylae. Okay. The divine wind defeated, yes, invading Mongols. It was through both individual and collective strength. Yes, and that individual strength and faith actually attract the heavenly world's power as well. Thank you, Peter. Excellent. All right, so we talked about that. And D, the next part is be connected to Alcantara. So when we do ABC, what happens is we can be connected to Alcantara and also connected, we can have like a Dharma friends connection. And that can actually really protect us from the negative spiritual influences. All people have at least a small amount of spiritual power or Dharma power. This is what Master says. You'll be able to emit the slight halo by studying the truth. This will be possible through spiritual training. So when we study the truth, when we do the spiritual training, we start emitting the spiritual power. We have the spiritual power to begin with, but then we can actually emit the slight halo by doing that. And that halo or aura does protect us. Then various evil beings will no longer be able to possess you. This happens because of the law of the same wavelengths. And that's exactly what Master said. So this becomes very important, emitting a slight halo by studying Master's teachings. I did not put in here, but in the same book, The Laws of Secret, not the same chapter, but this is called The Right Way to Conquer the Devils. This is the one right after that. So chapter 4, page 171, it talks about the coronavirus and the thunder, the music. And he said, maintain a state of mind that allows you to slightly emit a halo constantly all the time. And that can protect us from all kinds of germs and bacteria and virus. So that's very important. So we have to make condition, we have to have a condition that we're always even slightly emitting like a good aura from us, and that can really protect us. And we did not talk about that here today, but the best thing for that is gratitude to Master, to Alcantara, because he has given us everything. And always have that gratitude, feel happiness while you're driving, while you're washing dishes, cooking, doing other stuff, driving, anything that can really protect us from, from the negative spiritual influence that can create a spiritual screen. And page 200, it says, although there may be a disparity among people's levels of awareness, everyone can attain a certain level of enlightenment. So please seek a higher sense of spirituality. It is very important to ultimately aim for a higher sense of spirituality. So always try to aim for a higher sense of spirituality. All right, so this is what we studied today, the conditions of the real exorcist. And I'm going to go over what we studied tonight, how to protect yourself from negative spiritual influences. And so first half is number one, that's what not to do, what to avoid, what to be careful about. And the last half is number two, what we need to do. That's a big structure. And here is what we learned today. I didn't put up the what we should be careful about, what we should avoid. That's I'm just going to tell you what it is. Number one was virtuous poverty. Two, if you have thorns or needle stuck in your heart for a long, long time, make sure you get rid of that completely with your thorough self-reflection. Number three, be careful about the romantic relationship. And number four is also be careful about the interpersonal relationship. And those things occurs with the gradual process. And number five is a desire, especially fame and jealousy, and also the five poison of the mind. And then here's what we also studied. Number two, this is what I put up on the PowerPoint. What we need to do, A, control and restrain your desires, which is day-to-day efforts. Always need to try to control mind and body. And number two is we need to create a spiritual screen. And how do we do that? A, we need to visit shojas, go to local temples. B, study the teachings, participate in the activities of happy sciences. C, this is our weekly online study. That's something I added. And D, be connected to Alcantara by doing ABC. And E, emitting a single halo always. Oh, not single, sorry, slight halo or aura always. And those are the things that we need to do. All right, any questions or comment? All right, so it's past 8:30, so sorry about skipping the meditation again, but thank you so much for your participation. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mimi. Amazing lecture. Amazing today, as always.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mimi.
Oh, thank you, Yuko.
Thank
Thank
you,
you very much, Mimi.
Thank you, Tilo. Thank you, Julie. Thank you. And thank you, Jamie. And thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Mimi.
Oh, thanks, Barry. Thank you. And
Thank you, Mimi. This was a great service.
oh, thank you so much, Jim. Nice to have you with us. Thank you. And thanks, James. Oh, thank you, Ken. And thank you, Seiko. And thank you so much. Thanks, James.